Taco, the last couple of weeks we've been talking a lot about AI, robots, people losing jobs, what jobs are going to be first on the roll to be deleted, and etc. Today we want to talk about commodities, and we were triggered actually about the strong move in copper on Wednesday. Copper went down with almost 40%. That we're not going to talk about. We touched on copper recently. We want to talk with you today about something completely different. And that is actually the difference between a gold mining company and a silver mining company. And why is it? Because we see many times clients ask, okay, how do I invest in, you can of course buy an ETF, but what companies are interesting? What are the main players in this field? I think it's good maybe to start with the difference between a mining company that is fully focused on gold and a mining company that is fully focused on silver or other metals, because that's one of the first differences.
Exactly, and later we will discuss both one of those companies. Well, actually you said it, the focus of gold companies is normally fully on their job related to gold. So there are exceptions you will see later, so keep watching. But normally you could say in general that gold companies are fully focused on gold and not on other materials or other products.
Exactly, and it's what you will see also in the company that we'll touch on a little bit later. It's a silver company, but they also explore and mine other metals, and that's what you see. A silver mining company many times also takes out lead, takes out zinc, take out copper, because it's, I think one of the characteristics of silver that it's connected or related with other metals. That's the commodity itself is connected to other metals. Size-wise.
Yeah, size-wise, very important, of course, if you invest, is if the market is bigger or smaller. Well, the gold market is 10 times bigger, and I'm not sure if it's coincidence, but it's like 10 times bigger, the stock, also the production and the trading volume, all like around 10 times bigger. So, of course, if you invest in a sector or a product, you want to know the size. So gold 10 times bigger than silver, and silver 10 times smaller.
Exactly. Yeah. There's not much to add. But in my case.
But the volatility, maybe you can say something about it.
Silver, of course, tends to be more volatile. Of course, why I say of course, because it's a little bit smaller. Silver is also much more related to industrial demand. So if industrial demand is weaker, silver reacts on that a little bit heavier. Gold, I think in this case, is more like a safe haven.
Yeah, it's related to the previous remarks. So the size of gold is bigger. People think they use it as a safe haven. So that makes that the price volatility is, historically speaking, at least less.
If you look at the demand, the industrial demand in this case, if you look at silver, 50% of the total demand comes from industrial uses. And how is that then with gold?
10%, so that's a big difference. So normally used for jewelry, etc. So 10%, that's not a big part of it, and that is of course important also regarding the price volatility. As we said, you are less dependent on the industrial demand.
Correct.
Characteristics
of the mining and the production itself.
Yeah, so the gold companies normally tend to be bigger, more capital intensive. Although there are also just small companies, maybe even illegal, working in the gold sector. So, but in general, the mines and the companies are bigger and more capital intensive.
Yeah, if you look at silver mining, it's often done in more polymetallic deposits. So that's where comes the word poly from. That's of course several. So they obviously tend to mine also lead and copper and even gold. So that makes that those companies are more diversified, I would say so.
The structure of companies in the two sectors is also different. Like I said, normally the gold mining companies are larger, also in market capitalization. Also, they are diversified geographically more than the silver companies. And as we said, they are really focused on their product of gold in general.
Yeah. So if you look at silver mining companies, much smaller, more speculative, more reliant on product revenue, and it's very hard to find. And that's also what we encountered. It's very hard to find pure silver mining companies. They many times are more, and it's also related to the previous point, the more polymetallic mining companies.
For you as an investor, why would you normally choose for gold or gold companies? well, normally it's favored during inflation, protecting your wealth against inflation, also against instability in the world politics. So I think everyone knows that. We said before, like a safe haven. It's used normally. Gold is used for that, not for production perspectives.
Now, and if you look at silver companies, they attract normally investors that are aiming for a high return. So it's a lot more speculative. It's also much more, like I said previously, it's a lot of repetition, but it's of course related to each other, related to industrial growth. If industrial growth is high, more silver will be demanded, etc. Before we go to the two companies, I think it's nice to highlight again what is the gold-silver ratio at this moment. So how much silver do you need of the silver-gold ratio? You need at this moment 92 ounces of silver to buy 1 ounce of gold. Now, is that high or low? If you looked at our vlog over the past quarters, you know that is high. On average, historically seen, the gold-silver ratio is about 60, 65. So we're $30 above that. What does that mean? That silver in this moment is extremely cheap compared to gold. So that could mean something. Average 60, 65. In general, they say when it's above 80, it's a moment to buy silver. Maybe I'm moving on flat ice here, but that is what the market says.
It's like an indicator.
It's an indicator, yeah. So if silver gold is 80 to 1, it's an indication to buy. At this moment, we're 92 to 1, so that says a lot. Okay, Taco.
Barrick Mining Corporation. This is the company in the gold sector, formerly known as Barrick Gold Corporation. They changed their name and also the symbol. Previously, it was gold, the symbol for the US listing. Now it's B. And for the Canadian listing, it was and is still ABX. Company based in Toronto, founded in 1983 with 27,000 employees. Very big company, the largest gold producer in the US. Market capitalization of 50 billion. We said before, normally the gold companies, they focus fully on gold, but actually they have a increasing interest also in the copper production. So that is good to know with this company. 2 listings, like I said. The price earnings is around 16, and the dividends, they do pay dividend. Normally the gold investments are not related to dividend, but this is of course a company, and they have a dividend yield of around 2%. We like always to look into the future as far as possible, at least the expectations. It's not expected that the dividend yield will increase a lot, so that should not be the focus for you as to buy it for an increasing dividend yield. And also the earnings per share are not really expected to grow a lot. So I think it's in line with what we said before. It could be an investment in like a kind of safe haven, although it is although it is a company, of course. If we look at the chart for the timing, technically speaking, the price dropped quite a bit in the last years, but it is recovering. Actually, this year it's recovering. You can see like a growing trend line, and it's now on the highest level for the short term. So I'm not sure if that, technically speaking, would be a very good moment, but there is a trend line upward. So I think it's an interesting company to consider if you want to specifically invest in a gold company.
Exactly. If you look at silver or a polymetallic company that is mainly focused on silver, First Majestic Silver Corporation is a company that we see quite often in portfolios. Hasn't been doing so well. They lost, over the past couple of years, money. So if you look at their balance sheet, they lost money since actually 2021. Big loss in 2023. A little bit of a highlight. They focus on mainly silver mining, but as you do silver mining, I explained to you before, you also do other metals. Where are they active? They have 4 main mines in Mexico: Santa Elena, San Dimas, y La Encantada. And they bought a new mine at the beginning of this year. It's called Cerro de los Gatos. And that will, they expect that will boost their production profile. So they will really increase that. What they think is that if the silver price would hold around $32 to $35, and together with their strong cash, because they have a lot of cash flow, they have 462 million of working capital, so they're pretty, healthy in this case. on a cash flow level, then their margins look to be are expected to become a lot better. Why were they losing money? In 2023, they had to take an impairment on a big mine in Nevada. That was the Jarrett Canyon. It was a gold mine. They had to shut it down, had to restructure it. That of course brings in a lot of cost. The standby cost 13.4 million. If you have a mine, you need to stop it. That doesn't bring anything. You can't sell anything that comes out. Nothing comes out. So you bought it, so you have to write it off. It costs a lot of money. So that it's 7.2 million of asset write down, and then of course the severance, the restructuring itself also costed about 7 million. Of course, they're also hit by the cost inflation. Currency headwind, the strong Mexican peso raised the costs in dollars. So it's a lot of elements that were affecting them quite negatively. But they are positive about the future, specifically about the acquisition they did in the beginning of this year. 70% ownership they have now of Cerro Los Gatos. I think it's a company to keep an eye on. Put it in your watch list. I'm not saying that you have to buy it, of course, because I cannot say that. But it is something that I think you should have a look at because it's on its way back. They had a rough couple of years and they have been restructuring, and now it's up to them to start performing again. Thank you for watching.
Thank you.
And we see each other next week again.
See you next week.